we may have been told in the past that we would be never able to do it. So it's a workshop again of 3 days. This is day 2. My name is Laurence Guihard. I am the co-founder of the Buddha CEO. I live now in France after 20 years in the US. I am a mom of 2. I have been working in the IT business for more than 30 years and been a senior executive in IBM for the last 15 years, traveling the world, living in Europe, living in the US, and also in Singapore. I learned meditation in actually India. I was doing an acquisition in Bangalore for my business unit, and I spent time in India. And the company I was acquiring, in a sense, was probably not at random, but in a sense, I discovered that the CEO was doing meditation and is now the founder of the Buddha CEO. So I learned there in 2016. I knew nothing about meditation. I had no idea what it was. I had been born and raised in France in a Catholic environment. I never paid attention to meditation. I thought that meditation was doing nothing, and what a waste of time, probably. I was so unknowledgeable about it that even when I was living in Singapore and my business, I was in charge of the region. So I was traveling in Vietnam, in Thailand, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, and so on, and also in India. I had never even associated the position of Buddha with what was the technique and the practice of meditation. And I learned that over this period of acquisition. I went to this beautiful place south of Bangalore in Pyramid Valley International. And, Chandra took me there. We had not yet done the acquisition. We were still in discussion, but we wanted to get to know each other before maybe we would close a deal. And he took me there and explained to me what was meditation, and I tried it. It was under a magnificent and huge pyramid. For me, it was a total other world, another dimension. I was a bit wondering what I'm doing here, but I wanted to be polite because maybe we would be doing a great deal together and work together for a long time. I was also curious about the question, Chandra was asking, and I gave it a try. So with an open mind, I went there, and the meditation was really great. I mean, it was the first time I was sitting, trying to be myself, not doing anything under this pyramid. So my curiosity was there. I've pretty much tried to cultivate this growth mindset, trying to change place in the world when I was traveling, reading a lot of books and so on. But meditation was a new world. We went then to the cafeteria of Pyramid Valley International, a beautiful place. You have beautiful view and trees and birds singing and so on. And I met a lot of business people in that place. And I was really wondering what these people are doing here. It's a weekend and, they are meditating. Why? So I talked to many of them, and they gave me an overview on what was the list of the benefits of meditation, why they were doing it. So I went back to the hotel and was really looking and searching in Google for hours and hours in the night. And I discovered that so many people and so many business leaders, successful athletes in many sports, and singer and like the Beatles, or of course actors like Jim Carrey and so on, were actually practicing. And they were explaining and not shy to explain the value that it had brought to themselves as individuals, but also to their business, and how it had helped them to move forward, to create, to innovate, to try new things, to fail, to start again. And that was like a wow. And I was feeling, wow, how could I miss this? So I brought it back home, became actually a vegetarian nearly overnight. So it was a really odd transformation, but I could never go back. Talk to my family, my 2 sons, my husband. Now I meditate, I am a vegetarian. So great, interesting discussion. They all gave a try, and I brought it to the workplace. And in nearly 3 years, with a group of core people, including Chandra, because we did the acquisition, by the way, that was really successful. We decided to promote and create groups of mindfulness meditation and teach that to our executive, to employees, to everybody. And we touched probably toward, more than 10,000 people. So that's my story. And that's why, having worked with the help of mindfulness and meditation and transformed the way I was interacting with my clients, with my team, with myself, thinking bold, a new way of doing business, a new domain of doing business, creating new strategy. Thanks to the fact that with mindfulness and meditation, I had lost a lot of fear. I was trusting myself much more, and I was learning new things, reading new things about quantum physics, neuroscience, that I was trusting more and more what I was able to do. And when I was telling my team, you are limitless, I really mean it. So that's why I wanted to share this notion of growth mindset with all of you, as it's based on neuroscience, it's based on quantum physics, It's based off a lot of studies done in the brain and how people, behave in front of learning new things. And sometimes the burden they put on themselves, and the sin that they feel about themselves when they have a failure. So let's go again into the topic. Then we will do a meditation. All right. So today we talk about the brain, the memory, and learning power. An inspiring quote that also is with me every day since 3 years. I found it actually in a place. There was a trek, and there was this panel with this quote from Gandhi. But it's clear that we need to live our life in the present moment, to be aware of what we are doing, to enjoy it every moment. So and do all the things we want to do, because we have, as human beings, to realize that someday we're going to leave, this life, maybe go somewhere else, but live this actual life. And we need to make the most of it. And we have to learn, as if we were to live forever. It means we need to continuously learn to enjoy life, to enjoy, having more and more experience, to make sure that we do everything we can when we are here. That was the quote from Mark Twain, right? We don't want to regret not to have done so many things, because we always delay. And as I was saying, we should never say, I don't have the time. We always have to be honest with ourselves and say, I have other priorities. And it's no judgment at all. But when we say, I don't have the time, we should, thanks to meditation and be mindful about it, we should tell ourselves, no, it's not that I don't have the time. I have other priorities, and they change from time to time. But just helping us to realize that, for instance, instead of reading a newspaper for 30 minutes, that will tell you the same stories than yesterday, before yesterday, and a month ago, about all the bad stuff that happened in the world. Maybe I can take a book about neuroscience, or I can play 30 minutes with my kid. It's just a question of priorities, and we can decide what we want. And when we meditate, we realize we have freedom to respond instead of reacting. So what we saw yesterday, for those who are joining, new today, we saw the fixed mindset, the growth mindset. Fixed mindset, again, we believe that intelligence, talents, capacity are static, are inherent from birth. And when we have achieved the maximum of this talent, for instance, I am really good at, running, we stop learning anything new. And, we are always afraid of looking ridiculous or looking bad or touching our dignity if we try something new, and we are not so good at that in the beginning, right? I know so many people who have started to learn guitar, for instance, and after nearly only a week, they decide that they are not good at that because maybe they play a song and somebody laughed at them, whatever, and they stop. So there is these things coming from maybe a childhood, but that you carry with us because we are so submitted to the social pressure. How do we look? What people will think about us. So we told about that, and the growth mindset is the opposite. It's believing that with effort we can really get to mastery of any skill, and by practicing, learning from others, being inspired by the success of others, not paying too much attention to our failure, but looking at them as opportunity to learn further, we develop a growth mindset. We all have a fixed and a growth mindset, a mix of it, but the idea is to grow persistently, to develop our growth mindset, and of course to take all the benefits. So how meditation is helping us? Our brain is limitless. We have about 100 billion neurons and probably 100 trillion connections. So each neuron can store, a lot of data, 50 megabytes of data, and each neurons can connect to 40,000 to 100,000 other neurons. So it's an infinite capacity. There are more of it inside our brain than the entire known universe. So it's amazingly able to grow and to develop itself. In addition, we know that we all were told that, our neurons are dying step by step as we age, but actually our brain is creating 1 neuron per second. So it's keep renewing itself. And as we age and as we practice meditation, we can continuously develop our brain, our gray matter. So what you see here is that two things. First, on the right, that as we meditate, and it's proven by many scientific studies from all the great places in the world, all the universities, in the US, in Europe, in Asia. So it's proven, and there are many books to talk about it. The first thing is that it makes our gray matter, stronger and thicker. Our neocortex, become stronger and thicker and have more ability. And it's also make the two parts of the brain working well together. So we develop additional abilities to use our brain for what we want to learn, for what we want to do, and for what we want to be. Especially it increases the long-term memory area, which is the hippocampus. So it continuously increases that memory area. And as we grow this memory area, long-term memory, we can actually ease the learning of new things and remember them better. Remember them with everything, with the image, with the sound, with the text, of course, with the emotion that we had in this, learning experience. Also, in addition, as we meditate, we calm down, if I may, the part of our brain that is creating this intense emotion, of fear, fear of, looking bad, for instance. All of these emotions are also much better, managed by the brain. So this is allowing us to be in a better position, to learn, to manage our emotion as we learn. Being able to use all of our brain. So we always talk about the left and the right brain. We know that the left brain is more about the analytic brain, the language, the numbers. So this is really something that most of us, who are, in a workplace, not in an artistic world, but we are spending most of our time at school. In the current school system, most of the time is spent with the left brains. There are different cultures. So, for instance, in France, we spend a lot of time on the left brain. In the US, I discovered, because my kids were going in the US at school, they try to spend a little more time, in middle schools and even in high schools, on developing also the right brain, which is more about, the expression, the emotional intelligence, the inspiration, the artistic part of our brain.
So we have one brain that is more about creativity, one that is more about logic. And as we meditate, we learn to make these two brains working more, especially the creative one, and to talk to each other more. That can create insights, solutioning, creative thinking, and also a lot of fun, because we learn new things and we trust ourselves. We can develop, our artistic part, dancing, singing, cooking, gardening, drawing, painting, all of this part that will help us be creative. That we have, for those who are, have had to do this in their working life, it's difficult to find a great new idea when you are, creating a slide about an Excel file, right, with numbers. It's usually, when we are walking in nature, where we are watching a kid playing, that we can have some insight. The second aspect is what we call, the being, the doing, the learning, the being, the doing. So it's as we can train, we learn something new, we can train our brain to create this new connection. Our neocortex is, collecting and storing, what we are learning. And by the way, it's great when we learn with what we call an immersive experience. Learning something like you are learning meditation, for instance, but by visualizing something, by listening, by reading books, by talking to people, by, analyzing, being aware actually of emotions. All of this create an immersive experience that helps us, learn faster, because our brain is storing much better and for a long-term immersive experience where we have the sound, the smell, the emotion. So it's good to create an environment where we can learn, for instance, with other people. If you learn an instrument, like I was talking about guitar, it's good, for instance, to learn maybe sometimes alone, to read about people who are playing guitar, to listen to people playing guitar, and to be in a group where you are with other people, learning guitar and teaching guitar. And so you create an experience with some emotion. It's good to laugh about, an experience you tried with your guitar and didn't work, but everybody laughed, and then you remember, and it's, a kind of friendly environment. So all of this creates the environment to learn faster and better. So with everything we learn, being, as you can see, learning to swim, learning to use a computer, learning, to just be with your kid. But I'm also learning how to be, with my son or with my daughter or with my friend or with myself. So as we meditate, we learn new things. Our mind is changing. And I can tell you, all the studies also of neuroscience are showing that we can learn forever. There is no age to learn something new. No age. You have people who are super active, at 80 years old, 90 years old, still, participating to groups. There is a, beautiful documentary that has been done and won, an award this year about a lady of 93 years old who has created a movie where she tells the stories about herself and her brother as they went to a Jew camp during the World War II. And, when she's talking and explaining, she's, fully active, and she learned actually how to participate and be in a movie and acting and all of this, at 93 years old. So there is no end in learning. We can learn until the last minute. So there is no limit in there. So what are we having when we meditate? We talked about the storing power and the access power. So when we meditate, we develop part of the brain that is helping us store better. This is the hippocampus, as we talked about. Storing is key, and having the speed of accessing is key also when we learn and when we want to use, of course, the learning that we have. We can go right away to the information that we have stored. So this storing power and the access power is critical. We are kind of able to create this
these folders much more easily. And you know that, we are told that as we age, we lose some of it and so on. The most fragile part is, yes, this hippocampus that people lose when they go Alzheimer, for instance. When we meditate, we train this part of the brain. We grow this part of the brain on an ongoing basis. So, of course, it's useful in any part of the life. At work, when we need to remember something, when we are studying, where our kids are studying, and in any situation, we are cooking, we need to remember, how much eggs did I have to put in this? Yes, we have the experience. So all of this is helping, storing and accessing, and it's useful in any type of activity. The key also, as we meditate, is we increase significantly our concentration power. Concentration is key when we learn. You know that as a human being, we tend to be distracted, sometimes up to 6 times a minute. We are multitasking. We are distracting more and more by the digital, tools. So some people are always watching, their smartphone, on an ongoing basis. So it's more and more difficult to stay concentrated and focused. When we meditate, and it's proven again, we develop this ability, this part of the brain that helps us be concentrated. So we can focus on, anything we are doing and try to decide, in the coming 25 minutes, I'm going to really concentrate on this. So very high power. When we concentrate, and I remember, some kids are able to do it, concentrate, or even at work when you are in a meeting, we listen carefully. When we meditate, we develop our ability to truly listen, not preparing the answer, not our brain, our mind going somewhere else. And we don't even need to take notes. We are so concentrated that we remember everything that was in that meeting. So we are not wasting time to try to ask, what was the teacher saying? What was this guy doing or telling us? I don't remember, what was, he presented something, but I don't remember what it was. We are fully concentrated. And for those who don't know, it has been proven also by science that multitasking is against productivity. You lose more than 50%, sometimes 80% of the productivity when you multitask. So if you are listening to something and at the same time, watching your smartphone or, reading something else or listening to a video, doing multiple things, you are not there and you lose productivity. And we do that also at home. We are at the dinner table and, we fake listening to our spouse or our kids. And actually we are thinking about the next meeting tomorrow morning, and we have our cell phone vibrating and we wonder what is coming up in our cell phone. So all of this is developing our reading power. When we meditate, we can see a tremendous change in how we can read. And some people have started reading again, thanks to meditation. We read when we are student. We give up a little bit as we go into the life, with the kids, with the work, with the commute and so on. We sit down on the sofa and watch TV and we stop reading. And when we start reading, because somebody told us, this book is really great, but after 2 pages, we fall asleep. When we meditate, we redevelop this ability of reading. And we can read 40 pages in a row without being distracting and remembering what we are reading. So all of this is, of course, huge impact on our learning power and the confidence we have to learn. We learn better. We remember better. We can reuse what we are learning. We are present and aware. So it's a kind of ongoing check with ourselves that what I learned in the last minute, I remember it. So I'm able to be mindful about what we are learning, to even create pause, to say, okay, well, we said that. I have seen some people in a group, in a Buddha CEO and some meditators that I know, they listen to a presentation like this when they take notes and then they send, and we learn the technique also of, I learned something and I spend 1 minute to explain to the people around me what I did learn, which is why I was always recommending when you learn about meditation and mindfulness to use the family dinner to talk to your family about what you did learn about mindfulness and meditation, which is, by the way, fun, but also helping create this neuronal connection to remember what we have learned. We become more creative. We talked about that, the right brain and the left brain working now together, waking up your right brain. We have more thought powers because we trust ourselves. We also are able to eliminate the useless thought, out of these 50, 70,000 thoughts a day, which demonstrate that 90% of them are repetitive or useless from the past or the future. We know we are in the present moment. We are trusting ourselves. We are more expression. And above all, we have clarity of the thoughts, because our mind is more quiet. So we can think better. We can decide better. We can select what we are going to talk about. We can decide also to be silent when it's needed. So all of this is brought by the meditation, the technique and the practice of breath mindfulness meditation. And everything I've been mentioning is sustained by a lot of research, and surveys, research, and studies that have been published and in so many books. So one more thing I wanted to highlight before we go in meditation, something that is sometimes making us afraid of learning something new, something that is putting us back, into a sense of, fog in our brain, and then we become afraid of learning and trying something new. We have 3 brains. So we talked about the benefit of meditation, especially on the neocortex, which we are able to keep growing as we learn new things. And I'm telling you, if you learn something new, like a new language, and you spend 50 minutes a day on this new learning, it's 100% sure your brain will create this neuronal connection. It will happen. And you know it because you had the experience at some point in your life or even recently. When you start learning something new, you might have some difficulties at the beginning. It might look complicated. Using Excel for the first time, yes, it looks very complicated. But as you practice, you know that it becomes very easy, step by step. So trying to regularity in learning is key. And it's the same for meditation. Meditation is a skill and a practice, practicing every day. So as we do that, our neocortex will give this back to us. That's 100% sure. Now, what we have also in our brain is this, reptilian complex brain, this kind of being brain, but that comes from where we were like cavemen. We were living in cave. It was, million years ago. It's a process that is protecting us, and we don't have any conscious of it. It's created, in our subconscious mind. And when it's taking over our brain, it's very difficult to manage. So what is it? It's what we call the fight and flight, and it's a survival mode. In the past, when something happened, if you are attacked by, if you are in a jungle and you live in a jungle, you have always to be alert. People didn't have, houses and everything. Anyway, they had to be alert to everything. And it created a protection mode in our brain, which is a fight or flight, which is I am alert. And if a danger is coming to me, my brain, my caveman brain, if I may, is taking over and making me either fight to survive, either flight to survive, one or the other. But when it's happening, there is a process in me, in my neurologic system, in my hormone system, that is changing a lot of things in my body, flooding the blood in my hand or in my feet, in my legs if I have to run, giving me a lot of power in my vision, making my heart beat a lot. All of this is happening as I have this fight or flight, need. So, you recognize that, your mouth goes dry, your heart pumps faster, your muscle get tense for action, you're breathing faster, you have sometimes hyperventilation because you need oxygen. And at the same time, inside your body, you create adrenaline. Boom, you feel that when you have this sudden, fear, your blood pressure rise. You don't see this. Your digestion is stopped. All the useless organs function for fighting or flighting are stopped by the system. And how they are stopped is by our hormones. Everything is gone because the full power is, to running or fighting. So this was really useful when we were in a jungle, living in a jungle, and have to be, aware of what was going on. And it was really useful because it was like 24/7. But the fact is that we still have this fight or flight reaction in our modern life, because somebody made us a remark, because somebody said, oof, you learned this, but you are really not good at that. Look, you failed here. Anything is created that make us, feel frightened or, feel unrespected or, feel bad or feel weak or, and we start to ruminate and so on. It's a kind of fight and flight that is created in our body. And it's the same for the kids. So we have to watch very, very much what we are telling the kids. One remark can have a very, very high impact and create this fight or flight mode. And we are ignorant about it, but then create the adrenaline and also what I call the bad hormones, the cortisol. It's a stress hormone that is silent, that is created in our body, but it lasts for 6-7 hours to evacuate. And as we have these hormones, it stops a lot of function are depressed. The immune system is depressed when you do it again and again and again since years and years, and we don't know that. It keeps us alert so we don't sleep well, but it really has a bad impact on our health and our mental health. So when we meditate, we are able to be aware of when we become in this fight and flight, and we manage much better our emotion, what is coming in our emotion, and then the feelings, and we can calm down all of this. So the meditation is activates again the parasympathetic nervous system, to bring calmness and rest. So this is really critical for us. It deactivates this fight or flight mode. It reduces mental rumination and really, develop a kind of self-compassion. And all of this are the condition to be in a better position vis-a-vis learning, vis-a-vis the process of learning, vis-a-vis coaching our mind to be continuously learning and to develop our growth mindset. So growth mindset, again, failures are opportunity to grow. I learn from feedback. I am inspired by others. I'm inspired by people's success. I trust that my success will help me grow. When we meditate, when we practice breath mindfulness meditation on a regular basis, we are going to help ourselves develop our brain, our connection, our confidence in ourselves that will help us taking more risk and being able to jump into out of comfort zone and, cultivate in our growth mindset. And now, time to practice meditation. I can take one or two questions if anybody has a question before we go into the meditation. All right, so let's go into our meditation. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a great meditation. Let the energy settle. I encourage everyone to go on camera if you can. We have a few more minutes, and I see that we have questions in the chat. So we have question in the chat. I forgot everything very frequently. Is it a problem or how to avoid it? Well, I don't know if the person who asked the question to me directly is practicing meditation or not. But, obviously, as I mentioned, the practice, the skill of meditating is helping, creating that capacity to remember, to access to the information faster. And it's allowing that in two ways. First, as I was mentioning, it's developing our hippocampus. So the capacity to have long memory, a good store capacity in our brain, and long memory, which, goes from very, very far in the past, or of course will be useful in the future. The second part of practicing meditation for remembering things is attention. We usually, that 47% of the time, our mind is wandering somewhere, okay? And we are not really concentrated on the present moment, on a time where we could really create this immersive experience that will be stored and easier to access because we are somewhere else. So at the time when we need information back, we may have remember maybe some words on a document or something, but we don't remember the full experience, and it's making it a little more difficult to access. So by meditating, clearly you're going to develop your hippocampus in the brain, and you're going to develop also your capacity of being present, aware, and focused, concentrated at the time where there is something you can remember. So being present moment by moment, fully concentrated on the present moment is tremendously helping us to remember things and to access it in the future. Take an example, very simple one. If you take a beautiful meal, something that was prepared, if you sit down in front of, it's a new recipe, but you sit down in front of the plate, you take a minute to smell it, to look at it, the colors, how it was in the plate. You really take the time to look at it without thinking about anything else. Then you take the time to close your eyes and put it in your mouth and feel the texture, the taste, and so on. I can bet you will always remember that meal, always. If you are in front of a computer or on the TV and you just eat like that in 2 minutes, you probably won't remember so much. So it's a simplistic example. They give you the sense of when we pay attention at the full experience, we remember much better. I hope it's helpful. Okay, I'm looking at the questions. I'm going to stay. We are officially at the end of the time of the session. But Namita, I think we will skip the music and I will try to answer, the questions I can see. Okay, it is normal to get sleepy during meditation. Yes, absolutely normal. So don't judge yourself. No problem. It's normal. It's part of the process. You will get less and less sleepy, but it's your body, telling you something. And no matter what, the fact that you feel that you are sleepy and you don't remember if you are sleeping or not, your brainwave, which is the objective, and you are still hearing without knowing it, the guidance, and you are still creating this process of meditation, training your brain, to go back to the breath. So sleeping is normal. No worry about it. And, over time, of course, if you are exhausted when you do your meditation, you will go sleepy and you will go to sleep, by the way, which can be a good outcome. If you meditate more and train yourself with this practice, during the day, usually after a while, you don't fall asleep anymore. You want really, your brain is trained and wants to enjoy fully the experience. So it's okay. Keep going. No, not giving up because you feel asleep. Okay, I forgot everything. Okay, somebody asked, how do we know in which area we want to have this growth mindset? It's a great question. It's first, the decision is with yourself, is to trust yourself that you can learn something new, which is a big milestone. Whatever your age, whatever your location, your condition, your gender, whatever your experience in the past and so on, you can learn something new. That's a big milestone that will help by meditation and losing the fear and getting the confidence that you can do it. Then it is more a notion of purpose. I will mix that with the purpose. So first, there are probably a bucket list you have. You always wanted to learn a new language. Okay, you always wanted to learn, whatever about medicine. You want to learn how to raise kids. You want to learn how to run to go to the marathon. Anything. You want to learn about gardening, and permaculture, biodiversity. Many things. So you probably have a list. Just try to spend time with yourself to make a list, and don't judge yourself. It can be foolish things. I want to know how to cook waffle. Whatever you want, make the list and then try one. Small steps is better than being stuck and standing and doing nothing. So just try new things, and as you learn new things, you're gonna get even more confidence, and you're gonna get to growing the things, more and more new learnings. So small steps, big steps. Everything is fine as long as you keep learning. Maybe reading a new book about a new topic is absolutely a growth mindset. That's anything that will give you a new skill, that will develop your talent. Then you can have a sense of purpose, and these small steps might be, without you knowing it yet, aligned with your inner purpose. And again, and Amita, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but when you feel in yourself after meditating that you want to go back to teaching, it's inside yourself, but maybe for years you have told yourself, I don't have the time, I have something else to do, it's not my priority, and that's fine. But at some point it comes back by meditating, spending time with yourself, by being yourself, going down into your subconscious mind, and then coming up that, yes, I can teach, I would like to go back to teaching. And you put in place the action with a growth mindset to go teaching. And you do one session, doesn't go so well, you get some interesting feedback, but you feel I didn't do so well, but you learn with meditation that it's fine, it's part of the process. And you do a second time and a third time, and then it becomes part of yourself, and it's easier and easier, and you go to more and more topic, and you get more and more excited and joyful. Then you're going to try something else, or you're going to expand the kind of topic that you teach. Okay, so spend time with yourself, meditate, and maybe meditate with one of the intention of meditation could be before meditation for a week. It's, I would like to have insight and science about, where should I go? What should be my next steps, my purpose? But asking the question is already part of developing a growth mindset. So thanks for asking this question. John, Casey,
Yes.
do you have a question? Do you want to ask a question?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, Laurence, thank you for clarifying the growth mindset and its relations to meditation. I have tried various methods to get out of default fixed mindset, like journaling, seeking new functional and industry experience, reflection of my experience, and actively expanding repertoire. I understand that during meditation you do self-affirmation. What I was hoping that you would help us to know how meditation would enable us not to fall back to the default fixed mindset, but consciously try to retain our growth mindset. So that's what my expectation of this meditation workshop led by you were. So would you help us?
Yes, of course, John, and that's a great question. First of all, you raise a key point. Many of us are not aware when we have this fixed mindset, because the reaction we have when we have a fixed mindset are deep in our subconscious mind. This notion that I was mentioning, John, as and you are working on it, I know, by journaling and so on. But there is a lack of awareness from many of us when we have this reaction about fixed mindset. So when you try something new and somebody is making a reflection about it, then inside yourself, either as an emotion, either as a thought, you say, oh yeah, he's right, I shouldn't do that because I will look stupid. Okay, and sometimes it's tiny, it's subtle. Sometimes it's a big thought, but then we right away let go the idea. And it can be not always for serious topic. When I say serious as learning a brand new study or something like that, it can be I am in vacation with my family. We had a good meal, and it happens that this is maybe a resort, and then they are playing music and people can go dancing. My growth mindset would say, go dance and have fun and enjoy. This is maybe a music you don't know because you are in a place you don't know, but go and dance. My fixed mindset would say, no, stay sitting. You don't know how to dance this. You're going to look stupid. People will watch you and so on. And it's happening maybe super fast. We are barely conscious about it. And it's stopping us to go and try. And it happens a lot of time for big things and small things. So the key, John, here that meditation is doing, which is a process and a skills having impact in our brain, in part of the brain, in hormones that we create in our nervous system, is that we will become aware of this moment. We become aware of our emotion and our thoughts. We have been able to quiet the mind of most of the useless thoughts. So as the mind getting more quiet, as we become more aware of the present moment, because a million times we told our brain to go back to the breath, we become more aware. And it's becoming part of us. We do less and less effort to be present and aware. And we will identify this moment where we are switching to a fixed mindset. And that's going to be a kind of, orange alert. Hey, no, Laurence, here you are reacting with a fixed mindset. Come on, go and try. And it can be about decision to learn something is also part of this process of being in a growth mindset. So this just identifying that is the key milestone. It's where our freedom is. Instead, it's Viktor Frankl said, when you are able to identify this moment between the stimulus, and stimulus can be from ourselves, our subconscious mind saying, you shouldn't try, don't take any risk, stay as you are, you are talented in this, why are you trying to do something else, and so on. When this stimulus is coming from inside ourselves or outside from somebody making a remark, instead of going to reacting, we have now this freedom of choosing what we respond. And it's the very key, benefit of mindfulness and meditation. We respond. So we can then identify the moment we go back to a fixed mindset. And there will be moments we go back and we don't want to judge ourselves. The good thing is that we identified, I reacted with my fixed mindset. What do I do with it? Do I let go, or do I decide to just respond differently and, make a move toward my growth mindset? So that's what meditation is bringing us. In addition to that, meditation is developing all the parts of our brain that are useful to learn new things, remember new things, concentrate better. So be in a better position and condition to learn, to remember, and so to enjoy this learning. I hope it helps, John.
Thank you, Laurence. This is very helpful. So you are alluding to the process of getting self-aware, getting to a situation where you stop judging yourself as well as others and continue in the growth mindset process, right? And I guess that would work. Thanks a ton.
Thank you. And again, for all of us, if you have kids or teenagers, or if you are mentoring your students and so on, that's part of your compassionate approach to them. To help them recognize when they get discouraged, disappointed about something that didn't work. Okay, they had a bad grade, a bad test, whatever. It's part of the journey. And sometimes we don't find the right words or the right attitude to help these kids when they come back home totally desperate. So it's helping them to realize that this is just this is part of the journey. And that's why also we don't want to lose the fact of celebrating every single small progress, so they feel encouraged to do much more. I'm taking one or two more questions. Can we stretch the leg and cross the legs at the ankle? Yes, absolutely. If you have pain, you can absolutely stretch your legs in front of you, and that's fine. The idea is to be comfortable when we meditate. We can sit on a chair. Absolutely. Thank you for all your comments and your questions in the chat. We will see each other tomorrow again. Thanks again for investing in you. Thank you, Namita, for your support. And I think, thanks again. See you tomorrow. Have a great end of the day.